Okay, hello everybody. This is Myriacast episode 34 by my count. Today we're going to be talking about game news. We had some real Papega level comments last week from, we'll talk about it, but it wasn't actually Google Stadia's creative director. It was like a Montreal studio of Google Stadia. The guy was there. It's a little bit more complex than what you saw at first, but we'll talk about that among other things such as Twitch DMCA's as well as the AOC stream that occurred. And I think after that, we will be focused more on Mario. We're going to talk about just the series in general, talk about maybe our favorite titles, and you know, bat around some other things for the future, particularly like talk about more about the anniversary that's going on still. There's still a couple games that haven't come out yet. The new 3D World still hasn't. The 3D World, excuse me, for Switch, not the new one, but the 3D World for Switch hasn't actually released out yet. So anyway, I'm Otto. Spoon.
Yep, I'm Spoon.
Yep. And be sure to follow the Twitters for us to make sure you're updated with the podcast as well as just general stuff that we're talking about. Mine is just Automaton89, just name with 89. And Spoon, yours is just, well, whatever you see on the screen right now, that's Spoon's Twitter. Easy as
Yep.
that. Pretty simple. So, anyway, let's do, before we actually go into the podcast proper, let's check in on both of us. So, how are you doing, Spoon? What are you sort of like up to? I know you're obviously you were watching, baseball and such, but what are the stuff have you been up to that's maybe different than before?
Yeah, I mean, baseball World Series is taking a lot of my free time right now. Baseball playoffs,
Sure.
basically most of the month of October. My team, the Dodgers, is in the World Series, currently up 3-2. Hopefully, they can win the series
Oh,
tomorrow.
they're
They have a
3-2.
day
Okay.
off. They have a day off today, so
Okay.
Game 6 will be tomorrow evening. Um, and yeah, I mean, otherwise, I'm just kind of doing normal school stuff, studying. We have an exam next Monday,
Okay.
so
Yep.
getting getting ready for that. Cold Steel 4 comes out tomorrow, and actually, I was fortunate enough. I got the collector's edition from Nisa, and it actually came today.
Oh, cool.
So came a day
Came
early,
early.
which
Interesting.
I was surprised by.
Very
Um,
interesting. I can't see. What does that say? I can't see it. Let me move this over
uh,
here.
yeah, apparently, yeah. Also, of course, I'm just meditating in order to be the greatest anime music quiz player of all time.
Oh, okay. They're doing like some North America server or something. They're gonna do actual competitive anime music quiz.
I mean, there's a ranked mode, but I've never played it because it's always like a dinner time for me.
Okay.
Um,
Rank mode. Got it. Got it. Got
but
it.
I don't think I would be any good at it because ranked mode apparently is just super difficult.
Oh, okay. I got.
I
Of course
really
it is. Yeah, of
only
course.
I really only know the stuff that I've seen. Like there's a couple
Sure.
of things here and there from playing that I've picked up that I can maybe get occasionally, but it's pretty much my stuff that I get, and then
Gotcha.
everything else is just that's it.
Yeah.
Um, what else? Yeah, no, that's about it. I haven't really been playing. I've been doing my dailies in Genshin,
Sure.
stuff like that.
They said they
Um,
made a resin change. They said they
they
made
haven't
some
they
change.
haven't made it yet. They haven't
Oh,
made
they
the
haven't
change
made
yet.
it yet.
It's in 1 point. It's gonna be in 1.1. That's
Okay,
the
they were
plan.
mentioning
Uh,
it in the news, so I was in their news and game news. So they said something about it. I've been
yeah,
out for like 2 days, so I got like a couple bits of news from them. I was
yeah.
like
We
trying to
can
catch up.
we can we can talk Genshin stuff for a minute as well,
Yeah,
because
of
there's
course, of
a little
course.
bit of stuff to talk about
Well,
as usual. Yeah.
yeah, we'll definitely touch on that for sure. I think let's do it after game news because
Yep.
that we can do like a quick run through of that because I've.
Uh,
Oh no, go ahead. Was there something else you wanted
no.
to say?
Yeah. No. Just otherwise, I'm hyped to play Cold Steel 4. I mean, this is
Okay.
a game that, as I said last week, is kind of the culmination of the series up to this point. So,
Hmm.
um, probably not going to get to play it as much this week as I would like, since, as I mentioned, I have an exam coming up next week.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
Got it. And
that's me. What about you?
let me follow up one more on Cold Steel. So when was the first one released compared to now?
Ooh, um, Cold Steel 1.
Mm-hmm.
was released originally in
Mm-hmm.
Japan on the PSP, I want to say in like
Okay.
2013 or 2014.
Okay, so this is like a 6 to 7 year run up to the conclusion of the series. They've had 4 games come out within 6 years. Then, if that's the case.
The North American release for Cold Steel 1 was the end of 2015, so
Okay.
December 22nd, 2015. And the one sorry, not PSP, Vita and
Oof.
PS3.
Oof.
Um but September 26, 2013 was the original Japanese release of
Okay.
Cold Steel 1.
Okay. Got it.
Uh, yeah, I mean they kind of crank them out to
They
be
really,
honest
yeah. I was about to
because
say they really push
because
them.
Cold Steel 4 in Japan came out in 2018. So about 5 years they made 5 games or 4 games. Sorry.
Okay. That's kind of like.
I think the way they do it, honestly, is they like the story is broken down into arcs.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's the sky arc, which is the first 3 games. There's the crossbell arc, which is there's 2 games in that one, and that one hasn't been released in the West yet. And then there's the Cold Steel arc, which is 4 games. So I
Okay.
think they kind of storyboard and plan out a whole arc, and then they kind of go into making it. And they always say like, oh yeah, Cold Steel will be 2 games. Whenever they say something's gonna be 1 game, it ends up being two.
Being two. Okay.
So
Got it.
so like basically Cold Steel 1 and 2 are like you can tell was kind of planned as 1 game. The end of Cold Steel 1 has a horrible cliffhanger, as does the end of Cold Steel 3. You could tell those were kind of planned to be 1 game,
Yep.
and they had to split it in half because
Okay.
each game is 80 plus hours. They can't make a 150
Yeah.
hour game. It's like, okay, let's just like chill and split this in half. So,
Yeah. Okay. That makes
um,
more sense. So they probably just like had most of it. Most of the code was completed. You just have to basically follow up with the story for the rest of it. And
yeah.
by
So
most of the code, I mean just like
yeah,
most of the stuff is already built in. I'm sure.
yeah. I think they do like plan out the arcs pretty substantially in
Okay.
advance.
Got it.
Whereas, as I said, the Sky arc has 3 games. The third one is kind of like it's different. It's kind of like a wrap up slash summary game and kind of leads into the next arc. The real like Sky arc is the first 2, and again, it feels like it could have been 1 game,
Mm,
but they had to split it in half. Like
got it.
there's a cliffhanger at the end of Sky 1. That's like, all right, come back next time. We'll play the next game,
Got it.
because it's long. And yeah, Sky 3 is kind of a bridge game
Okay.
wrapping up Sky.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and I think the same thing happened with Crossbell. Again, it's 2 games, but probably was originally planned to be 1 as well, and it ended up being split into 2.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
um, yeah, it's a cool series. Again, if you're looking for a really interesting JRPG with great like world building, characters, story, I highly recommend the series. But you have to be invested and you need the time because the games are very long, and you need to be paying attention because
Got it.
there's a lot going on. There's a lot of interconnected plot elements, characters, like world stuff going on. So yeah, if you're in the market for that, I highly recommend them. But you don't want to jump in the middle. Like you don't
Right.
want to play Cold Steel 3, or you don't want to play Cold Steel 4 without playing Cold Steel 1 through 3.
Got it.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, well, I went camping this weekend, and I'm sure I'm blinking a lot. That's because I'm really tired. I'm like my eyes are a little bit dry, and I'm tired, so I'm kind of like pushing through it. Oh, and I'm a little bit itchy, and so I've been sort of off the grid for the past 2.5 days, just basically nothing in electronic at all. I would say. I think I did bring my Switch, but I played it for like all of 20 minutes total because I was just sitting around. We were just all sitting around relaxing. But beyond that, I know Watch Dogs Legion comes out this week. It should be Thursday, I want to say, because today is the 26th. So, yeah, it's the 29th would be Thursday, if I'm doing my math correctly there. I have midterms this week, so I'm also going to be studying for that. And then, for the most part, just doing I think I did some Genshin. I did quite a bit of Genshin today just to do like the catch up, and I posted in the Myriathon the poll that I did today. They gave like a ton of primo gems For whatever reason. I forgot why. There was like three
It's a
different news events.
it's like a Klee
Oh, it's the Klee thing. Yeah,
story. Klee's like going around collecting stuff and just sending you mail. So
she just
there's
sends
gonna
you
be
stuff
five.
in.
There's been three so far. There's gonna be five of them though. So two
Got
more
it.
days worth
Got
of
it.
that.
Because I was like, man, just got a lot of privileges. So I had enough. I had a ton. So I had enough for a poll, and I pulled Klee there. I haven't pulled Sucrose at all. I'm a little bit sad about that. I tried Sucrose, and I liked her. So I'm hoping I can pull her and play with her in the game
I
because
mean,
Klee's kind of
un-
entertaining.
unless you're exceptionally unlucky, you should get
Yeah,
Sucrose
I feel like you should.
on the current premium banner if you keep
Yeah,
pulling on it.
yeah. I feel like I should get it at some point. And then um, other than that, I like I said, I haven't played much, but I don't think I'm gonna get Watch Dogs right away. I think I'll wait a bit. But the other thing that I did last week, which was kind of fun, can't really do often, was I bought a bunch of Pokemon cards, and I sort of with the idea of like kind of collecting them a little bit and messing around and just having some fun with that. So that was pretty fun. So I did that on stream last Friday, and Blue was there. Blue was sort of hanging out and explaining to me some of the stuff because I haven't like done any Pokemon trading card stuff since I played the TCG online a couple years, like a year or so ago, for a brief period of time. But I haven't actually done anything with the physical card game since it released. So I'm just like, so I was I decided, okay, I want to try like messing around with Pokemon cards again. So that was entertaining. So I spent a whole day not just opening the packs, but I've sorted them. They're completely sorted and everything by their well their Pokemon type, or in this case, we'll just say their energy type. And we pulled a extremely rare card on the stream. So this one, just to sort of give context, this is the one we pulled. It's hard to see because of the lighting here, but it's basically a full art trainer card of Marnie. So that is actually one of the more valuable ones in the entire set. It's like the fourth or something. Its market value, I think, is like $28, almost $28. So we did that last week, and that was really fun. So hopefully, assuming I can save up a little bit more, and we can get another box, and have some fun with that again. But that was mostly what I did for the past week and a half or so. So that was my fun.
Have you played the Melody of Memory demo yet?
No, I haven't. Like I just like we like I was doing my study for stuff, and I'm still going to be doing studying this week. And the Melody of Memory demo that I wanted to get was actually, well, I don't know if I want to get it on my Xbox, but it was for the PS4, right? And I get we'll say I get very specific time playing on that because my PS4 is not in this room. It's on the living room TV. So I kind of have to pick and choose my battles. So what I think I'll do is I'll probably download it tonight when everybody's sort of going to bed.
I mean,
I'll download it and then I'll be able to play it, whenever I have like 20 to 30 minutes just to mess around and see what's up.
honestly, well, for you, unless you really want to play it on PS4 for whatever reason, I think this is a great Switch game. Like,
Right.
I'm just saying, I think Melody of Memory on Switch seems like a good idea, but that's me.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I mean I could do that too. I'm just saying I haven't done it. I've been off the grid for a couple
yeah, no,
days and
that's fine. I was just asking. I was wondering if
uh,
you had tried it yet. I'm
no, I
not.
haven't.
Yeah.
No, have not. I've haven't really gotten much time to sit down and download it. But I plan to. It's just got like lots of school stuff coming up here. So, but after this week, I'm going to be much freer. Once I'm done with this midterm, I'm essentially just going to
Yep.
just take like no
Yep.
homework or school time. Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
Get a little bit of stress. Get a little stress off your.
Yeah, I even did homework on the camping trip. I did homework on the camping trip. I did a little bit, not much, like an hour's worth almost. So I was I'm very lasered on that. And anyway, okay, let's segue to the new stuff real quick. Let's segue to the new stuff. So last week I sent this to you, I think, and then we just laughed about it. but we have to mention this here before we get to like the Twitch DMCA's. We'll get to that. I think this was the biggest thing for me. So last week, okay, so let's give some context before I say who this person actually is. So last week, we thought a Google Stadia creative director, like the actual main creative director, which by the way this person is not. We thought the main creative director, and I'm pulling the name here, Alex Hutchinson. He went on Twitter, and I think his brain malfunctioned. He had a malfunction in his brain.
No,
And, and
he's just a corporate lemming. It's okay.
okay, well, in either case, he's an idiot. And so he basically said that streamers should be paying developers and publishers because because it's like they should buy a license and pay to use the content. And I want that to sink in for a second and really think about what he just said. What he's saying, which by the way, it's so stupid the way he said it, but he's saying that streamers should have to pay a royalty to the developers or the publishers to stream the game. Not they've already bought the game. He's saying tack on an extra fee to do so, to just like stream the content.
And let's be.
Oh,
Yeah, Spectrum's.
yep, Spectrum. Oh my,
having a day. I was gonna.
oh.
In most.
Yep, Spectrum's powerful.
In the case where there is a publisher involved, in which in most cases there is,
Yeah,
the publisher is going to pocket that money. It's not going to go to the developer.
yeah. That's what I was thinking. Is the developer's not getting that money? They're not going to get that money. If this person's reality were our reality, the developer would not actually be getting that money. It would be the publisher. Which thank goodness, this person's reality is not our reality, because that is like this guy. By the way, he's had Papega level thoughts before. Okay, I'm gonna reference another thing that he said in the past. Assassin's Creed 3 director says Japanese games get a free pass. Same guy, Alex Hutchinson, has said that he said Nintendo can release a new version of its franchise every year and nobody says anything. He thinks it's subtle racism in the business world, especially on the journalist side, where Japanese developers are forgiven for doing what they do. I think it's condescending to do this. Well, let me finish before you explode. Let me finish. He also said, just think about how many Japanese games are released where their stories are literally gibberish. He said literally gibberish twice. There's no way you could write it with a straight face, and the journalists say, "Oh, it is brilliant." I'll pause there.
Okay. First of all, Japanese developers rarely release the same game every year. If we're taking Nintendo as an example, his example of Nintendo, there's a new Mario game every like 3 or 4 years. Same with Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
Like those releases are not that common. It's not like they crank out a new Mario game every year. They take their time on it. Pokemon is getting a little that way, to be honest. It seems like every year there's a new. I guess this year there actually isn't, though. There isn't a new.
It's
Pokemon
DLC.
Game.
It's
there's
DLC.
DLC for Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm. Frozen Tundra, or whatever it's called, came out like a week ago or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I actually can't think of a Japanese franchise that has actual yearly releases. I can't think of one.
Neither can I. Honestly, I can't. Like Pokemon would have been my only thought, but that's
Pokemon. I'm
really
thinking going through like RPG franchises like Final Fantasy, nope, not yearly.
No, they don't. No, they
Tales, nope, not yearly. At best every 2 years, but that's even generous. yeah, no, I mean, it's just not a thing that happens. Like Shin Megami Tensei, no. Uh, Dark Souls,
Dark
no.
Souls, yeah, Dark Souls
Uh,
doesn't. Yeah, Dark Souls for sure doesn't.
yeah, no. I mean, this is just wrong. Like
No,
he's saying
he's
they
just
get a
completely wrong.
like they don't get a pass for anything. They don't do it. They don't spend 1 year making a game and release it and act like it's a new game. Because if
Sure.
you only spend 1 year making a game, it's probably gonna be a lot of copy paste. Let's be real, and that's what these yearly franchises are. Assassin's Creed's doing a decent job, but they've kind of pulled away from the yearly thing. They're maybe doing
Mm-hmm.
every other year or
Yeah.
something
Yep.
like that.
Yep. Every
Um,
other year. They're doing. They're not doing every year for sure. Not
Call of
anymore.
Duty does yearly, but it's also not the same studio that makes the Call of Duty every year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they reuse, I'm sure, some assets and a lot of the mechanics. They're not going to change it too much because their fans like what they like,
Right.
and they're not going to change it too much. But it's not like it's the same studio making the game on a yearly basis.
Mm-hmm.
Sports franchises are the only
Year.
games that
Yep.
I can think of where it's like that egregious, where it's literally the same studio making the same game every single year and just like copy pasting and
Yeah.
roster updating with like minor feature additions and
Yeah.
more surprise mechanics.
Fact. Yeah. 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 Of course. Um, the other this guy, by the way, he doubled down. So Alex Hutchinson, just to be clear, the information that we got, he is not like the main creative director. He's a Google Stadia Montreal creative director, and so that is clear now because people were saying, "Oh, this is coming from main Google Stadia. This is not." And Google Stadia, Google and Google Stadia. I'm going past some stuff. Google has said the recent tweets by Alex Hutchinson, creative director at the Montreal studio of Stadia Games Entertainment, do not reflect those of Stadia, YouTube, and Google. So
Yeah,
Google
that's
just was like, no, we
I
disagree
mean
with what he said.
they might actually agree with what he's saying, but they're not going to publicly say that they agree with
Sure.
what he's saying, especially after the backlash that like there are
Oh,
very few
huge.
people on Twitter that are agreeing with this opinion because let's be honest, it's a terrible
It's a
opinion.
bad opinion. It's a hot take that is so hot. It burned Twitter, and everybody felt it. So several people. My favorite, by the way, is Gathalion. Wonderful one. A lot of people quote tweeting this hot take about how streamers should need a license from publishers to stream their games. I think we should be more concerned that anyone that works at Google Stadia is giving business advice. That was the that was just like
Yeah, that's
on
savage.
every level savage. It completely destroyed. Google Stadia is now burning. We could see the flames,
I
from here.
mean,
It's real. That was just like
I
pure
think he said
destruction.
what we were all thinking. Like we were all thinking it,
Yep,
and
and he said it.
Goth was taking no prisoners, man. He's just going in, going in
He
on
just went
that
in.
one.
He just went in, and I love it. I love it. Goth is a really great. I know he's on Facebook now, but he's great. I mean, he is just like he does not take prisoners on some of this stuff, and I'm so happy that he does that. People were like doing okay. Here's stream when streamers play the game and don't play the game necessarily, and I believe this was in reference to like probably Among Us for the most part. Like Among Us probably is one of these examples of this. I mean, it's just like, and he just like keeps doubling down. Amazing to me that people are upset at someone saying that the creators of content should be allowed to make some of the money from other people using their content for profit. Maybe you're getting flack because you're picking this particular battle in a world where, and then he's just like, where Jason Schreier comes in with like executives making tons of money and devs don't get the extra royalties and stuff. Um, yeah, so he's just making a comment they never see the royalties from whatever his
Yeah, like
Pepega level thought is for this.
if the money would actually go to the developers, I might be. I mean, I don't think I would be on board with this because I don't think they need the money either compared to
Mm-hmm.
the streamers. But again, in the case with AAA titles where you have a big publisher like Activision, EA,
Mm-hmm.
even like we go to Japanese ones like Square Enix, Sony, like they don't need the money. they're fine. The streamers need the money much more than
Right.
Square Enix, Sony, Activision, EA, Ubisoft, etc.
Right.
need it. Like,
It
and that money would not go to the developers if it was in the hands of a pub. That would be just a corporate like cash grab basically. It's like, oh
right.
yeah, great idea. Let's just tack on, hey, if you want to stream the game, pay a $20 licensing fee so you're allowed to stream the game or
Right.
whatever. I don't, again, that's just an example,
Well,
but
it's
um
what's amazing to me is this person. By the way, this person again, this person is in like anybody I would think, and I would say I would think if you're in the games industry, if you're employed in the games industry, you have an understanding of two things for this. Number one, streamers are paying a fee already, a license for the game. You want to know how they did? They paid the purchase price of the game. If the game is free, then it's a freely licensed game. You sign a terms of service, and nowhere in the terms of service, I imagine it says pay $10 to stream the game. It may say something like certain parts of the game can't be streamed right now. Maybe it's like early access. That's a different story. But when you buy the game, that is already a license to play the game. So that's already that's how it works. So I'm like confused as to how that Alex Hutchinson doesn't know something that I would consider common knowledge. You're purchasing the game. You purchased a license of the game already. You don't tacking on the streaming fee is just stupid. The other thing that I wanted to mention is it's generally common knowledge and it's an understanding that when if any developer or publisher puts out a game and somebody buys it and they stream it, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. The person that streams it, whether they're big or small, the people that come in and watch, that audience that may be interested in the title may then purchase the game after the fact because they've watched somebody else play it.
it's literally
That
free adver-
it's
literally free
free it's
advertising.
free advertising, free marketing, whatever you want to call it, unless the person has sponsored a streamer to do it. That's a different story. But if it's just like a 10-person audience, one person buys the game, that game company's like, hey, we just converted a sale of our game and we paid $0 for that conversion. Somebody helped us by promoting our game word of mouth
Yeah.
style in this case.
Yeah,
For the
and there's
most part.
sponsored streams, and I don't know how much, obviously neither of us are big enough streamers to
Of
get
course.
sponsored
Yeah, yeah,
streams,
yeah.
so I don't know how much they pay for that stuff. I mean, for someone like like who's a really big streamer,
It's a ton.
probably a decent chunk.
I would say a ton, yeah.
Um, but even in case where it's unsponsored, I'm pretty sure a lot of these big streamers and reviewers and stuff, minus being sponsored, they just get a free code to the game. Like the
Yeah,
publisher
sure.
will
Yeah.
just send them a code to the game and be like, yeah, if you stream, cool, stream the game.
Yeah.
And if they get 2 sales of their game out of the 10,000 people that are watching Co Carnage, they have more than made up the cost of sending him a free code for the
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
So
It's which is why it's just like how could you not understand that that's how the symbiotic relationship works? You're you're like I don't care if you're a creative director of the Montreal studio or what. You're in the games industry and you don't understand this on a basic level. It's like he doesn't understand all those things and has decided, well, I'm going to think of this in a way that isn't like a game industry type of example. I'm going to try using a non-endemic example that he's trying to come up with because in some universe or a different market this might make sense, but it's not that market. It doesn't make sense for this one because everybody knows it's a beneficial relationship for everybody. He's just like completely ignored it, and because Twitter exists he can say his stupid opinion. um on the flip side, his stupid opinion got ratioed and he was told he was stupid, which you sometimes need to do with people like this who are just like blatantly and on record saying things that he says like, oh, it's subtle racism in the biz, blah, 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 and then says a blanket generalized statement about Japanese games stories being literally gibberish, as he said. Like, are you serious? It's just like sometimes you have to look at a person and go, are you intentionally being stupid or are you high? One
like look,
can be excusable.
there's a lot of shovelware out there, both Japanese and Western, so let's not make playing. I mean, there are plenty of Japanese stories that are just gibberish, I'm sure, and there's plenty of Western games that
Sure.
have bad stories too, and there's also plenty on both sides of the coin that are masterful.
Right.
So
But it's just like it's like he doesn't think but just talks all the time, and you sometimes just want the person to not talk. And he really
yeah,
did
I hope
double down. He like doubled down on all this stuff too. It was really bad.
I hope someone at Stadia like took away his Twitter rights for a week or something.
It's like,
It's
can you just not tweet?
dude,
Can you not tweet?
just
Just stop
stop,
tweeting. The other thing that
just
I wanted
stop.
to highlight with this before I sort of move forward and whatever else is uh Jacksepticeye. I think it's Jacksepticeye. I hope I pronounced that correct.
Jacksepticeye.
Yeah, I
I
hope
think
that
that's right.
pronounced it. Jacksepticeye. He had this tweet, and Alex Hutchinson's banner at one point in time it's this. It's Savage Planet. It's this Savage Planet game, which is fan art of this guy Jacksepticeye, and the watermark. You can't see the watermark. It's completely blocked off. So this guy is like using fan art for Jacksepticeye, not crediting the artist in any way. And I don't know, like some part of it's weird for me. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
like really,
that's some irony right there for sure.
yeah. It's just weird that you're like, oh, you should be paying a royalty for this, but you're using somebody's fan art. Definitely didn't ask permission. Though, I mean, yeah, I don't know like what the exact situation is, but like, okay, you really, you just. Oh yeah, this guy hasn't tweeted by the way since all this stuff. I'm sure somebody told him to not tweet.
Yeah, of course not. He's
So
probably on.
Big Daddy Google said stop talking. Big Daddy
Yeah,
said stop talking.
and then he, to end the
Yeah,
clown fiesta, he posted that last tweet with the
Fall Guys.
picture of that he's gonna stream Fall Guys with I can't remember that actor's name right
Jonah
now.
Hill. I think it's Jonah Hill. Yeah.
Jonah Hill, yeah, Jonah Hill. That's right. He posted that picture. It's just like,
It's like, my guy, are you serious?
yeah, no, this guy, like,
It's just like amazing how. I hope you bought that special streamer only license to play it and stream it, Clown Fizz. But then he says, "I love streamers." I feel like he's now like gone in joke mode. I don't know. He like it's like the quote unquote defensive sarcasm mode where
yeah,
you
no,
start to be
yeah,
defensive and you just start being sarcastic. But moral of the story is, no matter who you are, no matter what you've been through, you can still be an idiot. No matter,
like,
even if you're the Montreal creative director at Google Stadia.
there are things to post on Twitter and there are things not to post on Twitter. Like, you can have this opinion and that's fine, but man, you gotta realize if you post something like that on Twitter, how much flack you were gonna get.
You're gonna
You
get
think
tons.
the gaming, like, probably 95+% of people who responded to this tweet responded with something along the lines of, "No, you're wrong. You're an idiot. This is a terrible freaking idea." Like,
I don't know.
again,
If he added
it's just
it.
one of those things where, like, the thought goes through your head,
Yep.
and maybe it was like, well, it was one of those things where he's like, maybe we'll see like how Twitter reacts to this, and it was more of like an experiment to like see how Twitter reacted to this hot, terrible take. And well, he got his answer.
He got the answer.
Of
That's 100% certain. He got the answer. That this was like this tweet, like, it actually broke me for a bit because I didn't think. It's like you got like sometimes you think about, okay, like I know for like Google was like historically difficult. It's like they're trying to find the best of the best. They're looking for smart people. Their interview process is like there's like it's like legendary in some aspects to go through. And it's like they have their own like weird slogans and stuff. And then they hired this guy, and you're just like, really? Well, Google, you hired this guy. He's an idiot. He is an idiot. Like, this is you can't be intelligent and have this opinion because you're in the marketplace. Like, if he wasn't in the games industry at all and had this thought, I might cut him some slack. But he's in the industry. He should know better. It's like you should know better, but you didn't.
Even even if he wasn't in the industry, it's still a bad
It
take.
is, but it's like
Like,
okay, but you're not in the industry. You
yeah,
may have an
maybe you just don't
excuse.
understand. Maybe you don't understand. Yeah.
I just don't understand. And I'd be like, okay, that's fine. You don't understand. Let somebody educate you. This person can't be educated because they have been educated and they disagreed with the education. You just like, okay, you gotta figure it out on your own. So I don't know. This guy's dumb. I'm just shocked at the stupidity of everything he's
Yep.
said. So, um, last couple things we have, uh, the Twitch DMCA's again. The DMCA stuff, like not just with Twitch, but like YouTube has this issue, all the time as well, just because of how the copyright systems work for these platforms. A bunch of streamers got notices that I imagine it was mostly their VODs, but I don't know like how deep it went in. To be honest, I didn't look too deep on this one. They just got removed, I guess, and in some cases they were removed without the streamer's knowledge. They didn't even get a heads up, I think, is what happened. Um, I Twitch maybe notify
Um,
people so they can, if that's the case, notify people so they can download their stuff. I don't know if that happened, but
I mean, yeah. The problem is that so like with YouTube actually has some things in place to deal with this. Like you can, if you think the claim is false, you can like challenge it
yeah,
on YouTube.
you can appeal it. Yeah.
You can appeal it, and Twitch doesn't have anything like this. So basically, big streamers especially, again, like using Carnage as an example because he's like one of the biggest like variety streamers that I know.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally deleting every single VOD on his Twitch channel.
Oh my god.
It's not that it's not that every single VOD was claimed, but it wasn't like apparently the emails weren't specific about which VODs it was and which VODs it wasn't. So it's just like, well, in order to not get fisted by Big Daddy music industry who's just gonna DMCA crap,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna have to delete every VOD on my Twitch
Yeah.
channel. And I know a number of streamers did the exact same thing. They're like, well, I'm just gonna have to clear my Twitch VODs because that's all I can do.
Right. Which is kind of unfortunate, obviously. But like for the big streamers, they're streaming every day and such. It's like a lot of VODs to go through. I certainly don't have to envy I don't envy the streamer or the person that was like, asked to do all that. It's that would be so frustrating to have to go through all that and just delete all those VODs. And I don't know if there's just like a blanket delete. I imagine there isn't, but you have to individually delete all this
I
stuff.
think there is now
Oh, there
because
is now.
this
Okay.
this thing started like I want to say a couple of months ago or something. Like there was some initial notices
Mm.
that went out, and I think I heard that Twitch may have implemented some features that allows you to kind of like blanket delete stuff. Um,
It's like, well,
so
we recognize the issue, so we've decided to provide a solution that still doesn't help you that much in the long run. It's like, really?
yeah,
I get it's like a band-aid thing for streamers to just get the blanket delete, but
yeah, it is a band-aid, and unfortunately, I mean, I think actually he has like a 10 to 15 minute video on his YouTube that's like his thoughts on this and like what is actually going on.
mm-hmm.
Twitch's hands are tied. It's not really Twitch's fault. Twitch can't really do anything. Apparently hopefully they're working on some things to help stuff like this from happening again in the future, some more protections for streamers, but like if the music industry or whoever this is, most of the time it's the music industry, submits a DMCA claim to Twitch, they can't really do anything about it. They just have to pass it off to the streamer. You're like, hey, DMCA claim,
Yep.
better take your crap down,
Yeah, you gotta
because.
deal. Yeah.
And I'm gonna go in for a second,
Oh, go ahead,
um,
please.
and I'm gonna break our rules about
Okay.
swearing and stuff. These music companies who do this can just fuck themselves. Seriously,
It's
these
like,
people are the
yeah,
worst. Like
it's frustrating.
most of these streamers are just like playing games that may have some licensed music in them, and it's just like again, these big music companies, like, they don't need the money, and most of the time also the Twitch streamers is not doing anything specifically like malicious or trying to break copyright law
Right.
by streaming video games. It's in very few cases would that be. It's not like streamers constantly just like play music on their channels to give the middle finger to the music industry. No, that's not how it works. They're Twitch streamers. They're here to play video games for the most part. And obviously the US government is a mess right now, but this is a 20-year-old law, the DMCA law.
Yep.
It came into effect around, I think it was in like 1999 or 2000. This is a 20-year-old law, and it needs some updating. This was before streaming services
Oh
existed,
yeah.
so it does not encompass streaming services, and the US government needs to enact, I mean, let's be honest, if the US government does anything, they will err on the side of the corporations and not the streamers, but they need to enact some legislation that helps protect streamers and to expand upon fair use and things like that, so that these, or establish some protection so that especially these companies that just like DMCA everything
Mm-hmm.
just to annoy people, where there's actually penalties for these companies for issuing DMCA claims when they're false. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you issue a DMCA claim, like they get some sort of like strike or fine
Yeah.
or something that would prevent these like mass DMCA claims that come out. But yeah, these laws are archaic and they need updating. Obviously the US government has a lot more stuff on its plate right now than that, but they need to take a good hard look at this because it's a nightmare. And like again, Twitch and streamers, like their hands are tied. They just can't do anything. They're just like, well, this asshole company just decided to issue a copyright claim on my channel, so I just got to take it down. Again, on YouTube, you can challenge it in some cases, but
In YouTube, you get to appeal it, and it. But even then, the main issue with YouTube, and I'm going to cite an Angry Joe thing. He was talking about this on stream. His one of his videos, it was a Star Wars video, ended up getting we're going to say demonetized. It was like limited maybe, but and then YouTube took like 5 days and got it, remonetized it. But the thing is, in YouTube's case too, and it matters even more for YouTube. YouTube videos have a lifespan of like basically 2 days. If you don't get your revenue from the 2 days, you're not going to get your actual full revenue, right? And so YouTube has this issue is on YouTube too, but it's interesting because this is more serious because some of the most visited sites now utilize streaming in some capacity. Like YouTube obviously isn't just streaming; it's a video sharing platform for content creators of any kind. And Twitch is I know it's a streaming platform, but it's a video related content platform where people provide live video feeds of gaming or just them sitting around eating food, watching other people's YouTube videos, which I don't exactly like to see. Also, I think that's a bit weird too. There's like a rabbit hole we could go down too. There's all sorts of weird stuff that needs to be messed with, but this one as well. It's not just Twitch that gets Twitch streamers are getting really screwed. YouTube people, content creators have been getting screwed by this for quite some time, and
oh
YouTube
yeah,
has a system for it. It's not a great system, but it's
no,
a
it's not good.
system. It's not
It's
a good
something,
system,
but
but it's
it's not
something.
good.
Twitch might need to implement something like this too to deal with this. Um, my sense is they won't right now, but they should consider it. There's one thing I've seen that Twitch is going to have some kind of like Twitch music thing where you can use it and it's royalty free, or it's just like music that that's allowed on Twitch. That might be something that could be helpful for people. But like if there's a game that has licensed music in it, there's nothing you can do about that. But if you're playing a
Yeah,
game with
which,
hopefully no licensed music,
well,
Twitch
which
might have some
the thing
alternative
is,
there.
a lot of these AAA titles, like I
Oh
heard GTA as an example, like Fallout, like the radio on Fallout. This is all licensed music. Like you're just screwed.
yeah,
Like you
you
just
can get
can't
pretty screwed. Yep.
use that. Like a lot of these AAA titles, at least the Western ones, just use. I don't want to say exclusively, but mostly licensed
They do.
music,
Yeah, they
and
do.
it's like, what are you supposed to do? It's just like, I just can't stream this game on my channel anymore, or I'm just gonna get a DMCA claim. And like, that's where it might go as well. Like Ko talked about this. It's like, what if these companies develop a way to, scan your live stream so that if they detect
Oh, they will.
a detect it during a live stream, they're gonna DMCA claim during your freaking stream,
They
which is just
they will. Of course, they're going to create something for that because that's a recognizable. Although usually with like for example something like YouTube, there's actually a monetary incentive for them to do that because they take the revenue that the YouTuber would normally make. The company actually just takes it.
Oh,
Um,
I mean, I know there's a monetary incentive for them to do it, which is why I'm telling them to fuck themselves because they don't need the money.
well, my question here is like for them, obviously they're going to do it just because, but there's really no monetary incentive to take down these Twitch streamers stuff. The only incentive I guess is just like you should. I guess just like we're not going to let you do this stuff just because. With I'm just like if they're. I feel like with YouTube there actually is that monetary incentive for the companies to just go in and start claiming stuff to take the money. Um, but for this case, there's like weirdly I can't think of like unless I'm just completely off here with like oh they actually do take some revenue. Um, I don't know. It just seems like you're just taking them down to take them down, which
Yeah, I don't
is
I, I don't
it's
know.
of course you could do it because you can, but it's just like well, I mean, you'd only do that if you felt like your brand was damaged in some way. Really, it's just like in some respect, you're like oh you're hurting my brand or whatever, or they just
Which
expect some payment from Twitch in this case. It's like you have to
which
pay
again,
us.
in 99% of cases with streamers, they are not being intentionally
No, they're
malicious
not. No, of
towards
course not.
the brand.
No, of course not. They're not. I mean, that's just the truth. They're not. But
In fact, they probably couldn't give two shits about your music. They're just trying to play the stupid video game that your music is
they just
in.
sometimes want
Like,
something in the background. Like that's also it. Like sometimes you just want something in the background and you've got your Spotify playlist up. I don't know. It's just like that's the case
I mean,
sometimes.
that's gonna be a no-no on Twitch from now on.
Yep.
Like, don't have your Spotify
You can't. Yeah, you
playlists
just
going.
can't have
That's for sure.
Spotify. You just can't have Spotify. Which hopefully Twitch gets this their own music thing going because they really need it now. You really do need it. So hopefully they do get it going. I've heard some stuff about it, so that's why I'm mentioning it. But anyway, yeah, I want to see if they have anything for that little thing. It's like a Twitch music platform. Um,
Yeah. Again, I mean, the only way that we get good change to this is if the government actually is going to take a look at this law again and enact some change to it, and hopefully some more protections for
right.
both YouTube and Twitch, the platforms, and for the streamers themselves. Because it just feels like these companies that issue these claims are just straight up just like exploiting and
Of course they
taking
are.
advantage of the system
Oh yeah,
right
of course
now.
you are. Of course, because there's no punishment for them to do it. They just get to do it.
Yeah, there's no punishment
There's
whatsoever.
no
They just
strike
they
against
just
you, especially on YouTube. Like they just take the money and run. There's no strike against them. It's weird. It's like, well, where's the strike against them? Yeah. Anyway, the last things we were gonna mention just to sort of move forward a little bit. We can always come back to this for sure. Is the AOC stream? Excuse me. Um, she it's Alexandria
Ocasio Cortez, I
Ocasio
think.
Cortez. Yeah, that's it. So she had a stream, and it was she played Among Us with a bunch of popular Twitch streamers, and it was popular. I mean, I don't I'm not shocked,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
I don't like. So it's just like it's big news. It's like, well, yeah, a political figure went on with a bunch of Twitch streamers, and it was popular. I'm not shocked in any way, shape, or form that happened. I think it's cool. Obviously, I think it's very very cool that things like that do happen, even if it's just like once in a while. But I'm not surprised that it was very popular because it just like But it is cool that I wish more things like that would happen, particularly particularly with political figures. Sometimes you do want to see, okay, if they do like things like this and like engage, it's good. I think it's a really good thing. So that's all I
Yeah,
have to say
no,
for that.
I agree. It was cool to see. It was surprisingly popular. She had like 400,000 viewers or something.
Yep,
That's what
it
I
was
heard,
very
which is
popular.
insane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, I know she mostly did it just to like promote like voting awareness, like trying to get the word out for people to go vote and
Yep,
stuff like that. So,
and that was and
um,
this. I'm just gonna say it. This is the right place to do that for sure because the I don't want to go down the political path because I don't think this is the right time and place for it. But sometimes I do wish more voting promotion would happen, especially on Twitch. Not like to the point where it's annoying, but to like get a political figure to come and say and just talk about voting to an
I
audience
mean,
like that. It needs to happen because I've seen
they're
occasionally I've seen streamers who I won't say, of course, tell audiences that are pretty big why they're not voting and it's a waste of time. And I'm just like, don't say that because you actually are influencing people. That's not the right thing to do. Your opinion, that opinion in particular, is not one that I would particularly share or promote.
and
So
there's
that's
also
why I
like
don't like
more
it.
things to vote on than the president. Like when you get your ballot or you fill
Yes.
out your ballot, there's propositions for your state that are going to affect the laws and the spending in your state. There's Congress candidates. There's candidates for some positions within your county or state. It's not just like, hey, it's not one thing. You don't check one box. It's like,
Right.
hey, I vote for Biden or Trump or whatever, um, other candidate you want to
Yep.
vote for, Libertarian
So
or Green Party or etc. There's more to vote on than just the president. Obviously, the president is the one that everybody's going to talk about,
of
but
course
it's
the
not.
the
Yeah,
um the thing is, it's I don't again I'm not I don't we're not going to go down the rabbit hole, but the other reason why it's kind of good to promote that awareness, I don't want to say kind of good, it is good, is because in particular for California, let's just use a quick example. Prop 22 was a really big and heavily funded bill from a bunch of the delivery and Uber
Uber,
and
Lyft, and
Lyft,
DoorDash
Uber, Lyft, and
mostly.
DoorDash, which by the way they funded that with way more money than is. I was
Every
just
other
like,
ad I see during the World Series is vote yes on Prop 22.
because they dumped a bunch of money into it like crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Because
They spent probably hundreds of millions of dollars on advertising for this
uh,
stupid bill,
they
this
spent like
proposition.
over $300 million on the bill. It's
Yeah.
just to get the bill pushed out. But the reason why that stuff is important, just to sort of quickly get through this, is that bill that will fundamentally change California's ride sharing and delivery services, because if that doesn't go through in favor of the DoorDash, Lyft, and Uber, they've threatened to leave the state and say we are no longer going to operate in this state if this doesn't go in
They
our
won't.
favor.
They won't do that. They'd lose way too much business. I think that's would be a
But the
like.
point is, like, that's some things you have to think about if you're voting on these things. Is I don't care which side of the coin you flip towards, but if you're a driver or if you use those services a lot, that's like huge. That completely changes your lifestyle in particular, like the choices that you make. So that's part of the reason why I think it's also important to say, okay, maybe take it a bit more seriously, because like if you're like a delivery driver, that's a big deal for you. So that's another reason why I think the AOC stream is good. It's like promote, state voting is important too. Like check out some of the stuff that happens in your state that you really want to laser focus in on, because you're not going to know everything really. That's hard to do, but there are certain things that you really should keep an eye on. So, and Prop
Yeah, and
22
it's
for
also
California is big.
important, like when you vote for these props, to like actually read the prop, and
Yes.
there's like a voter guide that comes with it, and there's arguments like for and against, and maybe talk to people if you don't quite understand it, like go online, look up more information. But I would um advise people to vote thoughtfully and not. I spent like a couple of hours reading the voter guide, and like talking to my parents and other people to decide how I wanted to vote on some
Yep.
of these props for California.
Yeah.
Um, the Uber one, I mean,
Prop 22.
that was a hard no from me. That's
The
like no.
Prop 22 was one of the bigger ones, actually, in my opinion. That was a huge one, because if that goes in the favor, if that doesn't go in the favor of delivery services, like, and the rideshare services, they might do something crazy, like leave the state. They really might. I know California is like one of their definitely might be just their biggest market in general, but they could just and
They
or
could.
just
I mean,
threaten, or because they've already threatened.
they've
So
already
yeah, they've
threatened.
already threatened. So
I don't believe. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm calling their bluff wrongly, but I don't think they'll actually leave the state.
man,
I think that would be too detrimental to their business, but
they'll
maybe I'm wrong.
and then the other side of the coin is what happens to the drivers and such. But um, circling back away from that, because that's like a discussion for a different time. Is just generally just saying that the AOC streams are good. They are good, and they don't have to be all the time. They don't have to, you know, they don't have to necessarily be super idealistic. Telling people to vote, I don't think is a hugely idealistic claim, but I think they're just good to have sprinkled in, because you also want to feel like political figures of any fashion are trying to engage with you as well. Like that's a definite positive. It's like you want them to engage with you as an audience, and let your also let you speak your thoughts. So
Yep.
okay, any other stuff? We there was the Fire Emblem, uh, the first Fire Emblem is getting a U.S. release bit from Nintendo.
Yep.
There was a video about it.
Official localization and
Official
U.S. release
localization.
for
Yep.
the original Fire Emblem
Yep.
game.
That was a thing. Which it looks like they didn't change. They obviously, I think they did change some things, because I noticed some things
I
looked.
think,
It looked like there was like a divine pulse, so to speak.
yeah,
Like
they
didn't go
added
backwards.
a turn wheel.
Yeah.
I think they added some like ability to like battle save and stuff like. They added
Yeah.
some quality of life features from some of the newer games, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Um,
For
but
sure.
I would guess that mostly the game will be unchanged, with the exception of some quality of life things.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but the thing is, like, we've had remakes of this game before. Like Shadow
Shadow
Dragon
Dragon. Yep.
was a remake of the original Fire Emblem,
Yep.
so
But
it's not like we haven't played this game before. But it is the original one if you want to play a really old, archaic version of Fire Emblem and just see where the roots are. I
yeah.
I mean, I think it's cool, but I'm not particularly interested. Like, it's just I just don't think it'll hold up. I think the game is way too old, and the series has gotten so much better since then that it's
Yeah. It really has improved. So well, but still, it was their 30th anniversary thing, which
yeah, it makes
for a
sense.
30th anniversary, pretty kind of cool. But we'll still there might be more. We'll see. There might be more. Um, okay, let's sort of jump off of that screen, since we've gone through all that we had, and let's go and talk about our main topic, which we haven't had in a while. And actually, one more thing before we go to the main topic. Uh, we'll spend a couple minutes on it. I did put off the Genshin Impact thing. Um, you had mentioned this, I think, I don't know how long ago, but the resin system's changing. We mentioned that some point before, which seems like on the face decent changes already.
I mean, apparently the community is still not happy about it. Apparently the community is still saying like, yeah, this isn't enough.
Oh,
Like this, they want an overhaul. They don't want a minor change. Again, the change is supposed to
mm,
increase the cap of resin to 160 as opposed to 120 where it is at currently. I
yep.
don't think it changes the recharge rate at all.
Mm,
Um, and it also is reducing the battle pass requirement, the weekly battle pass requirement, from 1600 to 1200, I want to
yeah,
say.
because we did the math and it was like, okay, it's better. The math works out much better.
it's not still not quite on where if you spend 160 a day you'll get it, but you only need to spend like 80 extra for the
Yeah,
week, I think.
it's
So
more
if you spend
reasonable.
like one fragile resin and maybe one day do a little bit extra, you'll get it.
Yeah, it's more reasonable. The I can see why people are complaining. Again, I can see why people who don't normally play gotcha games are complaining in particular, because it's a gotcha system that if you don't play gotcha games or don't know anything about,
Yeah.
you're not used to, and you
I
want to
I, I
grind the game, and the game is purposely built in a way where they don't want you just to grind the game. They want you to spend a few bucks. So I can see why
or
if people
or
would be upset
or
about
they
that.
want they want you to wait until they want it to take longer so that you have to wait until the next patch comes out basically,
Mm-hmm.
and stick with the game for
Sure,
longer.
sure.
um and yeah, I mean that makes sense from what you said. I think this game has gained pretty wide popularity, so I think you're right. I think maybe some of this is coming from people who haven't played gotcha games before or don't generally play gotcha games, and they're just like, "Ugh, I hate this," because
Yeah.
it's not what they're used to.
That that being said, I don't know of a different solution to this resin system, which doesn't just like, okay, you gotta change a lot of stuff too, if that were the case. For example, like not just the simple stuff, but like, okay, world bosses rewards play on this resin system. Um, like
So the
ley line seals work on the system.
most of
Different
the
dungeons,
rewards
yeah.
that you want and need for upgrading your characters come from resin stuff.
So it's just
You
a
know,
question of, okay, well, what's the alternative? Because the system is going to be in here. It's not a matter of, oh, it's just going to go away and you can get your
yeah, no,
magic world of you can grind as much as you want all day. That's just
that's
obviously
not going
people
to
want
happen.
that to be the case, but it's
It's
not
not
going
going
to
to happen.
happen. It's just not going to happen. But I don't know. The other stuff, obviously, there's this new banner, which I pulled the character for, and she's pretty fun. She's she's very she runs with her arms out like this super anime character, and I'm
Clee's
just
adorable.
it is great. Every time I see it, it's great. I will say it's great just to watch Glee do that. And I'm trying to think. Oh, and they're adding more and more little story quests that you unlock. I noticed there was like a Mona
Yep.
related one.
Yeah, they
So
added today. They added a Mona side quest. You do need AR-38 to
yep,
play it. It's like the next in the so there's one for 32, 34, and 36 before today, and today they added Mona, which is the 38.
yeah,
Um,
they're really gonna keep
so yeah,
pushing that one up. But yep, so
and
you can play that.
there's also a new event this week. It's not a co-op event.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it's just like find the guy and unlock a box by
yep,
providing him some resource.
find the guy, give him stuff, get some free stuff. I mean, it's a very
Yeah, it's
simple
fun.
event, but it's a cool way to just get some free stuff.
It's cool. No, I like it.
The first box I opened had like 30 primo gems, like 5 purple EXP books, and I want to say like 20k Mora or something like that. So not bad.
Yeah, no, it
Um,
is good. It's a nice reward. I don't know. It's a very simple. This one I like. This one I like is a little bit more. It's a very low key event, which I think works pretty well in this. So I'm interested to see what the next bigger event is, where it's like a group cooperative event. But but yeah, there wasn't really much else, to be honest. I don't think worth noting.
no, yeah,
They
one point
they're
one again is supposed to be on November 11th, which is it's not in 2 weeks.
two
It's
and a
supposed to be
half.
on a it should be in 2 weeks, but the Wednesday of that
Oh, okay,
week.
okay,
So
interesting.
2 weeks and 2 days. So 16 days, I
Yep,
guess. 2 weeks and 2 days.
yep.
Um,
So okay, like I said, I don't have any. I don't think there's anything
oh,
else with Genshin that's really
that's
important.
it. Just a few minor things. If you haven't played Genshin in a bit, this week may be a good week to log in and then play it to get the
Yeah,
at least the rewards for the event. It's very simple and easy.
it's generous. This one's generous.
And there's a if you do it 5 out of the 7 times, there's a like 1,000 battle pass XP reward. So that's not bad too. You
Oh,
get
that's
like a
pretty
full
cool.
level for it.
Okay.
Um,
So I'm gonna go ahead and say, by the way, for YouTube's sake, this is the end of the game news section. I'm cutting this in half again. I didn't upload the previous video, but for this particular week, we're going to cut it in half. So for the game news side of it, this is the end of it. Thanks for those who are watching on YouTube. This section of it, the part two will be focused on just Mario titles in the series. So if you're interested in that one too, there'll be a link for that, or you can just sort of head over to the YouTube channel and you'll find it. It'll be uploaded, hopefully at the exact same time as this first part is. So, thanks, and go watch the second part, please.